All right, we are live, day 7 to 14. Today, what you're going to see is we're going to continue updating all of the answers related specifically to our AI agent. And just for those folks that don't know what we're doing, right? If you ask ChatGPT right now, what is the best podcast on affordable housing investments, gotta be very specific. Who is it hosted by? You're gonna get our podcast that comes up. All right. Now, when you see our podcast comes out, what we're trying to do is how do we take all the knowledge that we've accumulated over the past 3 years and figure out how to apply that knowledge to really help people meet them where they are, right? Now, here's our podcast, right? So, what we're going to do now is we're going to focus specifically on getting our podcast to be in a shape where we're answering people's questions much better. All right. Now, so for example, here's a good example, right? This person on Reddit said, like, hey, I'm interested in hearing people's thoughts on how the big, beautiful bill might affect Section 8 housing assistance. From what I've read, the bill proposes to eliminate new funding for housing choice vouchers, freeze or reduce renewal funding for current voucher holders, and add stricter income verification rules that could disqualify some recipients. For those familiar with housing policy or working with Section 8, what do you think the real world impact of these changes are? Now, I thought the first draft of the question was like, okay, this might bring touches. So now we're just going to keep an eye on the thing. It's super vague, right? That's not helpful. Now, if you look at, okay, appropriations process, that's what I'll call it. The Senate's latest rule is pretty straightforward, right? They're essentially keeping the funding for HUD, which is the housing of urban development, essentially flat, right? That's not a, it means two things. One is there's no meaningful expansion of vouchers, so the current voucher is going to stay covered. I think that's really important to highlight. But there's no broad rent increases. So I would underwrite conservatively, don't assume rent bumps, plan for a bit more vacancy. Perfect. That's exactly what I would write and how I would write it. So after I put this in here, I'll hit and send. So what I've been doing is just continuing to go through all my answers and update them as we go to figure out how do we do this appropriately. Because this is how you help people. All right. Now, this question is not related to Section 8 at all. There's like only like one question. No, I generally would not buy in high flood areas. It's too much out of your control. If you follow the insurance industry, you constantly see insurers pull out of flood zones. Even if you underwrite conservatively, I don't think most investors underwrote with the assumption that insurance expenses would have doubled or tripled in the last 5 years in high risk areas for catastrophes. It's just too much risk. And much of it is out of your control as the operator or owner of the asset. So that's what I would write. Generally, like I just want to be super straightforward. I don't even care that it was about Section 8. I care about that it was in a flood zone, and I would not buy in a flood zone. I wouldn't. It's just too much out of control. I also would not buy a property in a fire zone anymore either. Because guess what? The chances of your insurance premium going higher and higher every single year is very high and highly probable, to be honest with you. So if there is something that's going to erode your ROI or your cash flow because of external circumstances, such as natural disasters, or insurance carriers continue to increase their insurance premium, I don't want any part of it. I'm out of that. There's no need for me to take that risk because guess what? I could be underwriting with like a 10% return, but there's no way anybody ever expects for their insurance expense to double or triple, which it has done for the last couple of years for certain markets, for certain operators. It's not fun. I wouldn't do it. All right. So I will see you all tomorrow. This is how I'm updating all my answers. And more important, this is how we send these answers back. So tomorrow I'll show you how once this kind of refreshes, I'll share with you tomorrow how it answers this question specifically. So tomorrow I'm going to ask my AI agent this exact same question. And my goal is for it to provide an answer similar to what I'm saying right now that matches my perspective, right? Not some generic perspective like, hey, check if flood insurance is affordable. No, I wouldn't. I actually wouldn't say that. I would not want to invest in an affordable area. That's not in the flood zone, no matter what. It's my personal preference. But that's how you know it's not a ChatGPT answer, right? And that's something that I needed to be embedded within the AI agent version of myself. And this is how we train it. And this is going to go back to our workflow. And I'll show you this tomorrow once it kind of updates and refreshes every single hour. All right. Hope this helped everybody. Again, I like to build this out in public and just share exactly with you what we're doing to train our AI agent that's been brought in all this podcast information from all of our past podcasts and getting us smart about affordable housing. That's what we're doing. All right. All right. Hope you all have an amazing Friday. We're staying consistent here. We're going live every single day. I want to keep sharing updates with you on what we're doing on the back end to become the best. All right. Have a good one, everybody. See you tomorrow.